did. And we learned to be like trees. And we waved in the wind. Well, it was the 1970s. And the 1960s had just arrived in Yeovil. And we saw each other a bit, but then we were at grammar school together, and Tim was in the year above me, and you don't mix, do you, when you know, Tim was a year older than me. So it wasn't until we were 16, 17, I think it was, and I was wandering down the road in Yeovil with me duffel coat on, hands in pockets. I was a miserable teenager. And I saw Tim, a vision. He had the biggest afro hairdo you've ever seen. I know, it's hard to imagine now, isn't it? But he did. It was the full Hendrix, man. Really, it was. Made Hendrix look like an amateur. And a big cape covered in bells. I know, it's crazy. And I think the conversation went something like, "Oh, hi Tim." "Hey Pete, how you doing?" "Oh, I'm all right." "What are you doing?" "Well, why don't you come back to my place? I'm trying to work out whether the soul exists or not." I mean, I was brought up on an estate in Yeovil. We didn't use language like that. Nobody expected to reach nirvana or moksha or anything like that. The best you could hope for was a pretty good job at Westland Helicopters and a semi-detached house. So we went back to Tim's place, and he had Buddhas around the place and all kinds of candles and joss sticks and all the rest of it. And then I think it was either then or a little bit later, we read T.S. Eliot's 4 quartets together. Yeah, somebody goes, "Oh." And it was, well, Tim had a thing about T.S. Eliot because he went to East Coker Primary School, and East Coker is where T.S. Eliot's buried. Is that right? Yeah. And Tim's name is T.S. Freak. Whoa, so it must be Eliot come again. And we read 4 quartets together, and it woke me up. I'd have spent my life probably fast asleep. But that poem and meeting Tim woke me up, and it's no exaggeration to say my whole life has flowed from that meeting and that poem. So, yeah, if for nothing else, I thank you, Tim. Really. That changed my whole life. One meeting changed my whole life. So from then on, really there was just one conversation. What the fuck is going on? What's life about? Does it have meaning? Does it have purpose? Is there a God? Do we have souls? What happens when you die? And it just went on. One conversation, huh? For years and years, every time. I mean, relationships came and went, jobs came and went, we lived in different places, but every time we hooked up, we just dropped straight into that place. And we talked, and I remember your dad saying to us, "Greater people than you have asked these questions." And they've never come up with any answers. But that just made us more determined. And the conversation went on for about 20 years, I think, until, out of the blue, Tim wrote a book, or a translation of the Tao Te Ching. Is that right? Yeah, the first thing? Yeah. And then the same publishers we wrote a couple of proposals together, and this kooky publisher in London said, why don't you write a book on mysticism? Huh? Okay, we can do that. Didn't know what the hell it was. But yeah, so we spent a while writing a book, and what the publishers wanted was a book on world mysticism, showing how it's all different, how all these religions, they're all different, and they all dress up in different things and do different things and say different things. But what Tim and I were interested in was they were all saying the same thing. It's all one. Everything you think is all just bits and pieces and doesn't hold together, and the world will just fly apart. But actually, there is one unifying thing that holds everything together. We had different takes on it. Tim has always been love. That's Tim's thing. My thing was knowledge. Theo's thing was... dunno. Better come up with something soon. You're on it, aren't you? But yeah. So we got the chance to start writing together. And that was fantastic, because that brought all those 20 years of conversations, suddenly we could bring it all together. And then, out of the blue again, we had an international bestseller on our hands. Wow. We were pretty smug. We got flown to New York, a limo picked us up. And yeah, it was fantastic, huh? And it really was the fulfillment of all of those conversations. It went somewhere, and we arrived at some place.
And what did Tim's dad say then?
I think he was pretty pleased, actually. I think Tim's dad, even though he was a difficult old sod sometimes, he was really proud of Tim, and he was really proud of us, wasn't he? Yeah. So since then, I've kind of sat back on my laurels thinking, I've published a book. But it's not good enough for Tim. He's carried on since then. It's 2 decades ago now, isn't it? And he's still doing it. Turning out those books, he's up to, what is it, 300 and... I lost count now. But yeah, he's still there. He's still out there doing it. And this evening, he's still doing it. That's his job. He wakes people up. He woke me up. I expect he woke some of you up. Yeah? Didn't make me up. So my life would have been completely different had I not met Tim. And that's why he's given me the opportunity to open tonight. But all I really want to say is, happy birthday, mate. I love you, man. And now, I'm going to hand over to our mate Theo. Because me, Tim and Theo, we are like the Three Musketeers. Well, without the muskets, obviously. The big hats. And the long leather riding boots. Well, you know, in public. In fact, we're nothing like the Three Musketeers, but there are 3 of us. And we're all great mates, but I am Tim's oldest friend.